I guess we're on.
I guess we are.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
I'm Rev Rita.
I'm Rev Patrick.
We're the spiritual directors of Center for Spiritual Living Kaua'i here on the island of Kaua'i in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And we're starting this podcast called Get Real with the Revs. And it's about practicing resilience during these current times. And before we get started with resilience, we wanted to tell you a little bit about ourselves because some of you don't know who we are or what we do. So you want to start, Patrick?
Well, like Rita said, we are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but before that we were on the mainland. And we made a decision to come here and open up centers for spiritual living, Kaua'i. And we got here, we knew, well,
Nobody. One person.
One person.
In case she's listening.
Did. Yes, she did.
We didn't know she lived here.
That's right. So it was kind of just following that beautiful intuition, following that divine guidance, that urge that says, go, go, go. And we did. And 7 years later, we're coming up on our 7th year here. We are right here in Kaua'i.
Right.
In some very interesting times.
Yeah, but I want to go back just a little further for a second and tell them why we did this. Because we come from a teaching called the science of mind and spirit. And it's about living the best life that you can live in every single solitary moment because of the power that lives within us, that infinite intelligence, creativeness, whatever you want to call it. It's a power that we all have to use. And we really have used it over the last 23 years or more and really shifted our lives in great ways, abundantly and relationship-wise and health-wise and all kinds of wise. So
we knew why we were doing that.
So because we were so married to this teaching and this philosophy, we wanted to share it with others. And we went through a whole program of probably about 6, 7, 8 years of study in the science of mind and spirit and became actual ministers. But I don't want you to think of it as a religion because it's not like that. It doesn't have dogma. It's basically awakening the greatness in us and helping others to do the same everywhere we go, just by who we are and how we see each other, which is magnificent. So that's where we come from. Mm-hmm. And here we are. And then Patrick was saying.
Well, no, I think it's important for everyone to know where we're coming from and why this philosophy is so important, because it's actually what's getting us through now with the resiliency that we're having now is because of the strength that I get, not from the organization or the name of it or anything, but it's through the allowing my life to be better, even if it's going great. We were just discussing this actually yesterday, that this philosophy changes one's life. But it doesn't change unless you want it to change, A. And we don't teach you what to think, we teach you how to think, and that's always thinking from the highest. So I think it's important to know that this isn't if you follow these easy steps, then you all of a sudden become enlightened. What it becomes is that I want more for my life, and because we have this power, this incredible power that lives within us, that can move mountains literally, that's what we work with. That's what we work with. That. Then when that knock comes on the door on March 15th of this year that says, you're shutting down, you're done, and we have 100, we're here now at this center. And that's our vision actually behind us of our future aspirations, our future Center for Spiritual Living, which is quite big now that I'm looking at it. But when something comes and shuts the door and says, what are you going to do now? After you have taken 7 years to build something to over 100 on a Sunday celebration, now what are you going to do? Now you really have to practice, quote unquote, what you preach.
Right. Yeah. So on March 15th, no more services. We were fortunate enough to have a really good live streaming program in place, and a wonderful person named Rob Jones who does our live streaming. So we were keeping that going. Yeah. Through live stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. You can tune into us anytime, 9 a.m. We're on YouTube Live, and we're also on Facebook Live, and we're also on Boxcast. And our website's cslkauai.org. You can check in there. But yeah, so we turned to live streaming, and because really our major objective we have a really great community here, and it's been really difficult to be separated. But the one thing that drives us is that we want to be an inspiration to people. We don't want people to lose hope. We don't want people to feel lost and feel despair, because this is a difficult time, and a lot is happening, and between the racial tension and all the violence and everything that's coming forth right now, and COVID-19 that just kind of landed us all in our homes, and people losing their jobs, and it's heavy duty stuff. And what I know, though, is something really spectacular is happening. And if you listen to any of the mystics of today or look back in history at different times like this, you'll see that in the middle of chaos, something great is coming forward. And we can just see it by the way we've all come together as a global community to go through this together. And also how everybody is coming forth now to say enough is enough with this hatred and injustice toward our people of color. I just know that something great is coming through here, but I also know that just like childbirth, I've had 3 kids, and I know that when we're going through a childbirth, it feels awful, and we think it's never gonna end, and we're in all this pain, and then at the end of it, you know, we receive this beautiful gift of a child. And I feel like that's what's happening now, that we're going through the throes of childbirth, birthing our new earth. And I mean, how does the science of mind and spirit help you, Patrick, now?
Well, it absolutely does. Well, first of all, we have a modality called spiritual mind treatment, which the treatment isn't the magic, the power, it is the belief behind it. And for me, I know that what it helps me to do is to focus and align mind, body, and spirit, and be able to stay present. I know it's an overused phrase, you know, be in the moment, be in the moment. But I don't know about any of you, but when I'm not in the moment, I'm miserable, especially these days. I mean, and to honor, you know, it's not about bypassing. Another big phrase is the spiritual bypassing, but I don't think we're bypassing, at least I'm not. I know that Rita's not. I know this center is not built upon that. It's about going through it from love, and it's not always easy to do. Today I was very I went running and I just felt so like a little boy. I do a lot of inner child work along with this teaching, but it was just a terrible feeling of our birthday is coming up, and we had it all planned.
That was our anniversary of our center, 7-year anniversary.
And Rita called and said, "Are we still on for the 19th of July?" And they said, "No, it's been all canceled." So
he's talking about the Lidgate Pavilion, where we usually have our celebration, because we usually have over 100 to make close to 200 people come to it, plus a big choir singing and a potluck after, and it's a really big deal to us. And this morning we found out, no, it's not going to happen, because they've canceled all permits for the park due to COVID-19.
So trust me, I understand that in the scheme of things, that might seem small to some people, and I get that. But I also think it's important that we look at things that it's very subjective for us all. Everybody's experience through this is their experience, and I think for me, I am just learning incredible compassion, not only for myself, but for other people. Because my little boy came out filled with disappointment, full of disappointment today. They said, "Oh, now the trip was canceled, this was canceled, this was canceled, this was canceled." I mean, it sounds familiar? It's that little part of us that remembers every disappointment. And so back to the science of mind, I go in immediately and what I call remember who I am. And I've been lately just working a lot with my heart center. I just hold my heart, and I told that little part of myself that I'm so sorry that you're not going to have your birthday party, because that's the part of us that needs to be heard. That part of us that says, no, we'll get through it and move through. Yeah, you know, move, get her done. And finally, I'm just at a point where it's not like I'm giving up. I'm just surrendering. That's another part of that science. Right, surrendering and saying, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But what else is going on?
Well, we have to know that that's one of the things we teach and practice, is that something greater is happening in order for something to be born that's greater, something has to die. Something has to be let go of. And for me, it's a time of letting go and surrendering, and a time of really, really deep faith that all is well, and that I always go, you know, Rita, you've always been taken care of. And I mean, I think if we all can look at our lives, even the most horrendous times in our lives, there's been something that's gotten us through it. Even when we've hit rock bottom, we've moved through it, because there's a place within us that's really just wants our good. It's moving us. It's called our spiritual evolution. It's moving us to our next thing to do, our next thing to be. And we think, oh, we made all these mistakes and and we tell ourselves all these stories, when that was all part of the process of moving forward and never giving up, and just having a faith, being able to, like Martin Luther King said, put your foot, I don't know the exact quote, but put your foot on the staircase. You don't see the next step, but you take it anyway. And I think that's part of it, is that surrendering to what is, and trusting that the unknown, as Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, being in the unknown, and somebody else called it the liminal space of not knowing what's next, but trusting that everything is okay, and that we're built for this. Right. We're not the first people to go through this. So I just want to say one little thing about spiritual mind treatment, which is our healing modality. And I think some people think it's just a prayer. It's not just a prayer, not that there's anything wrong with prayers. Prayers are all good, but it's not a beseeching to some deity to help us out of this. What it is connecting to that power within you and actually making a demand on the universal energy, on the field, whatever you want to call it, to move it in your favor and to move you with it. So it's like a movement. It is a movement of energy. So when you're in a slump and you go to this place and you connect with the divine within you, the power within you, and you speak your word of what you want to manifest, you don't get what you manifest, you get what you become. So you have to connect to it. You have to speak your word with feeling and allow it to move into this law of our being, this energy field, and create for us, because we don't do the creating. We have to be able to let go. That's where the surrender comes in. So in a case like this, not being able to have a party, which, okay, I know it's not a big deal, even though that we've got 150 people that are waiting for it and have missed us and want to be together. It's not like in the scope of things, nobody's dying. It's not like, but it's disappointing, right? So what we do is we move into spiritual mind treatment about that, and we ask for clarity. We know we have clarity, because that divine within us, that intelligence, there's an infinite intelligence that's holding all the stars in place, holding the planet in place. It's within each of us. We're all part of it. And so we claim that, and we know that within that infinite intelligence, everything is known. Everything is known. And that means that it's known within us. And clarity. And all we have to do is envision the clarity and listen and respond to it, and then look out, because the synchronicities start to happen. But it takes practice, but it works, because I've shifted so many things in my life. So right now, spiritual mind treatment is a big deal for me, as it has been. And I just know that we're going to work through this whole thing with the party and our center, and that we're all of us together. We've never been more together as a global community than we are now. And I was just listening to Dr. Michael Beckwith the other day, and he said, all this is happening is the result of all the prayers we've said, all the meditations we've done together has brought this all forth, because things look the worst because something's being born, something greater is being born, and the chaos, in the middle of the chaos, is coming. This new way of being, not the new normal. I don't like that word. But a new way of being with each other, a new way of being on this earth. So much good, and it's not easy, like I said. I'm rambling, but
no, it's a couple that I always think I wish I had a pen, because when
I know
the person speaks, but a couple of things have come up for me today, and I heard on NPR it was a Black Lives Matter activist, and she said something so powerful, and it really hit home. And she said that one of her concerns were that when something first happens, like the atrocity with the policemen and all the other things too, not just that event, all of the events that have led up to now, we have a tendency to react emotionally. And that's a good thing. That's what kind of is the fire of the soul. It activates you and says, no, something's got to be done. We've got to move. Something's got to be done. But it's where she says that history, why it has repeated itself, is because it somewhat starts to peter out, whether it's through the media, through the, it was the same way with the kids at the border. We were so fired up here, and then all of a sudden, something else took that place, but the kids are still there, I would assume. So her concern was, let's keep this going. And we said that in this teaching and our role as spiritual leaders, that it's not just good enough to say, okay, everything's going to be okay, and then not do anything about that. It's still about taking spiritual action. But, somebody said to us on the same note, or said to me, where's your God now? And I just, I have my own viewpoints on that, my own arguing for your limitations type thing. It's not about God. Two things come up with that. It's not about God. God, if you come into CSO Kaua'i, you come through those doors out there, it's not that God's waiting in this room for you, because God's already where you are. But what happens here is community and people coming together to support. That's why the churches of any faith are so vital, so essential, because it is being fed, and we need that communication. And just today, after we ran, I saw someone that we had not seen in 3 or 4 months now, and she just was crazy because we actually hugged, and it was just wonderful to see how important community is. But I think to myself, if we take away, as Rita and I were talking about, those titles, we want to know where God is, take away all your titles, mom, dad, brother, CEO, spiritual leader, minister, janitor, breadwinner, whatever we want to call ourselves, strip it all away, strip it all away, strip it all away. We used to call it peeling the onion in our acting days, peeling away the onion. But then if you just peel it away and strip it away, and then you ask, who are you? That's where God is. Right. For me, that's where God is. When I get really scared and wondering, really, what's next? That type of attitude, which I'm sure I'm not alone. If I am, then I understand. So I think it's important to remember these things.
I was just doing that while you were stripping it away. And what I came up with for myself, like we like to say, oh, I'm love, I'm this, I'm that. You know what I am? I'm creativeness. Mm-hmm. I am creativeness. And that means that as long as I'm creativeness, which means that I'm creating in every single moment, everything can always be new. There's going to be always more to create. There's always going to be, because nothing is static. Nothing's just there and doesn't change. We're always changing and we're always creating. So I believe I'm creativeness, and we're going to have to wrap this conversation now.
We are. I have one little tidbit, a Rev P tip, if you will. Let's just talk about feelings. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of Science of Mind, talks about spiritual mind treatment, or just living. We're not selling you spiritual mind treatment, that's for sure. But what we are inviting us all is to remember who we are. But to really remember that your feelings are valid. And I think there's a misconception of when they come up. When they come up, if anger comes up, we'll talk about, today was I hate COVID day. Because I really believe it's that little part of ourselves that still gets triggered from wherever we are in our past as kids or whatever, they get triggered. And it's just to honor them, to love them, to hold them, and allow yourself all of the luxury of just bathing in them for a moment so that they can come up. That's what everything's happening right now. What I say the other day, we're like in a self-cleaning oven. We've pushed that button, we've closed that door, and everything is bubbling up to just come up to its, if you've ever looked at it when an oven's cleaning, man, it's got crap in there that's just amazing, and it's bubbling, and it's not pretty. But then it starts to what? It starts to clean, starts to take, and away it goes. You open it up, and you're like, whoa, whoa. So honor the feelings, honor everything that's coming up. Mm-hmm. And just just keep loving yourself. Let's love our way through this.
Yeah.
Love our way through
I think the biggest thing we can do right now is to not be afraid of the unknown and just trust the moment and listen. Really listen to yourself, not to whatever else. Like, we have a friend of ours, Deb Valentina, who said, there's a lot of thoughts out there, but no one's thinking. Really start to listening to your still small voice. And I know that you're guided and directed in every moment, as I am, as Patrick is. And we'd like to close this out with a spiritual mind treatment. And let me just say one word about it. The reason we call it spiritual mind treatment is because your mind is spiritual. And we're just treating it and reminding you of that, reminding that you're a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe. And we're governed by our law of cause and effect that we use. And we're governed by the way we use it.
We're all in the quantum field together. This is quantum science.
It's quantum science.
Yeah.
And so when we do this treatment, we're just treating my mind, Patrick's mind, and moving that law of being for all of us in the direction that we want to move it, which is for the highest good of all. Not dictating what that is, but knowing that each person knows what that is. So are we going to do a joint? Or
no, I think why don't I turn it over to you?
I would like to do it. Okay.
I had a feeling she did want to do that.
Get excited.
Well, when you're married to someone and just share a co-spiritual, you're a co-spiritual director together, you know.
The reason my eyes popped out is because I thought he was touching the recording button.
I know, it's hitting my stomach.
Okay, so let's just beautifully take all this laughter.
Isn't smiling nice?
Yeah, let's take a deep breath together. And settle our attention right here, right now, in that beautiful breath, knowing that that breath that we are breathing is the breath of spirit, the breath of life force itself, moving through each and every one of us, moving through all of creation. Can never be stopped by anything, no matter what. It is an eternal thing, that breath of life. And it's the breath of spirit breathing through us right here and right now and always. And what I know from that place is that that beautiful breath of divine intelligence moves through me, moves through Patrick, moves through each and every person listening here, moves through all of creation for the highest good, that something fantastic is happening right now. I know and claim clarity for each of us. I know and claim peace of mind for each of us. I know and claim health and wealth and all that is good for each of us. A new birth, a new understanding, a new contemplation, a new way of being for each and every one of us. I know that where there is violence right now, there is peace at the very bottom of it, making itself, bubbling up and making itself known. Where there is any kind of hatred, there is love right here and right now, making itself known, because love is the greatest force that ever was. As our founder Ernest Holmes says, love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. And I know that irresistible sweep of love is moving through me, moving through Patrick, moving through all of us, moving through this whole earth, just bringing it up and out of all of this into its new way of being. And I know it's good, and that each and every person has exactly what they require. All supply is met right here and right now. There is a deepening within each of us that is allowing us to just connect and think from higher and higher levels of consciousness, and affecting the whole plane of action with that higher consciousness that we each think. So I know good is happening now, and it is unfolding for the highest good of all. That divine right action is in place, and that nothing can stop that. So knowing all these things, I can only give gratitude from the bottom of my heart and beyond. Gratitude for this new life, for this clarity, for this beautiful, amazing divine right action moving through each and every person's life. I give gratitude and great, as we say in Hawaii, mahalo, for this beautiful thing called spirit that moves through each of us in the highest, best way at all times. So with that gratitude that I feel, I simply release this word. I let it go, and I know my word never comes back to me void. It is always made manifest, and I know that it is made manifest as I release it now in the most perfect way. I allow it, I let it go, and I let it be, as I say. And if you want to affirm with me, and so it is. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back again next week. We're going to do this.
Get real with the Revs.
Get real with the Revs and practicing resilience during these current times. So
I think they need a little reminder of who they are, though.
Yes, they do. Before I turn off this recording.
So
Ready?
Ready?
You are magnificent.
We love you.
We love you.
Mwah.
Aloha.